Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, Josh Eddy, ready with the wrench. Good man. Love it. Well, Ethan, what do you got to talk about today? What are you going to talk with us about today? Well, it's righteous indignity and it's rage that comes from righteous indignity. It's just something that happens when a man is pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. So, my first release is with my voice because my voice at most would hurt someone's feelings. It's not going to bruise them. It's not going to cut them. It's not going to break a bone. It's not going to put them in the hospital. Now, there's a couple of guys that I know pretty good. Don't see them much anymore. But my friend Marshall has been a good friend for decades. Marshall's not talking with me as of late. There's reasons for that. And so there was an incident a few years ago where Brian and Marshall got into a scuffle. And to hear Marshall tell the story, Brian had his arms around his throat, had him bent over backwards on the workbench, and was choking the daylights out of him. Marshall's reaching, trying to find something to put in his hand, and he found something heavy. And he cracked Brian over the head, the way Marshall tells the story. And Brian went, how do I describe it? Dizzy. So, you see, I don't condone violence. I don't. And I avoid it at all costs. Now, this fella, Brian, he'd worked for me. He had an issue. And he kept coming at me. And he kept coming at me. And one day, I'm in my vehicle, and here's Brian. And he reaches in the window. And he grabs me. And he's, grabs my shirt or something. And he's screaming and hollering at me. I didn't get triggered. Marshall says, one day he says to me, he says, how come you didn't fight Brian, Ethan? He said, man, one day you came up to me, you said hello, and you pushed me in the chest. He said, you're strong, man. Why didn't you fight him? I didn't answer Marshall. I didn't answer him. Never talked about it again. The reason I didn't is because I know myself. The adrenaline that comes out of me is powerful. So I had an incident here recently. Well, no, I want to back up. Many years ago, I invented a power coping saw. Not only did I invent it, I built one, a working model. Got it patent, and I'm trying to work to bring it to market, but the tool industry was just as oppressive as the medical industry is and our government is to recognizing the health benefits of cannabis. So I had a good 20 years of experience of dealing with depression, but I didn't know what it was at the time. I just thought, geez, seriously? Come on, guys. Well, I actually exhibited a SL stereolithography prototype at the National Hardware Show and was on national TV. They televised that 3 times. And getting ready for the show, we were not ready. Oh, we were not ready. And I went 3 days, 3 nights without sleep. Now I'm driving to the show. It's in Chicago. And the phone rings. And it's Jim. And Jim says, Ethan, we need you to go to the lumber yard and get all the lumber for the show. That was it for me. How much more can I do? You talk, Jimmy. Talk. Big talk. Why don't you say, hey, Ethan, we need you to be sharp. We need lumber. When you get here, I'd like to borrow your truck or anything. So, wisdom comes with age, comes with experience, critical thinking. I just had a similar situation here recently. I spent all day Christmas, not one word from my family. I did not hear one word spoken to me from my family. And I know that I'm not to be picking up the phone and talking with them. And that hurts. So now I don't know what time it is. It seems to me it was well after midnight. I worked all day. Christmas Day on the computer, dealing with issues, hacking issues, frozen file issues, developing paperwork, developing strategy, all the time, putting my personal issues aside. But all day, I'm hearing about another Christmas ruined. I keep getting these messages and phone calls. I got this detailed story about this man and his wife and his daughter. I'm not going to go into it. But he made me live that. And when I get my quiet time and I'm listening to the good music, the holy music, and I'm relaxing, trying to recharge, phone rings. This guy talks about how he loves to talk to me. He wants to talk to me all night long, blah, 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 going on and on and on. I was like, well, it's all right. I give you what I can. And I got to listen to how smart he is. And he wants to know this, and he wants to know that. And I explain it, and I explain it, and I explain it. He said, I got a head injury. It's like, finally, I snapped. My voice got loud. And I'd had it. I'm going to go through it. He wants to learn it. He don't have to listen. He can hang up the phone. I don't get something to write with. Write this down. You can't remember it. Write it down. But I'm going to be giving you this stuff. Write it down. Right? That's how I'm talking. Because I'd had it. Now, what happened back in the days of the power coping saw, I had a lot of investors. and they were looking to usurp control. So this fella, I know what he did. He played my voice. He recorded that call and he used it to discredit me to the investors. But I was the champion. Without me, that company was going nowhere. And that's exactly what happened. That company went nowhere. That folded. Well, I started again. I got that coping saw in tooling. I did, in China. And then the world economic collapse hit, crushed it, crushed me. Lost the house that I built, raised my family in. Now there's no house big enough to hold the family for Christmas holiday or any other holiday. Kids all got their places. I got my little place here. Oh, we could all squeeze in. Yeah, we could do it. People be sleeping on the floor, be no room to walk to the bathroom, be a line at the bathroom because there isn't enough bathrooms. We had 5 bathrooms in that house. Yeah. Anyways, somebody wants to be disparaging me because I get a little passionate, or I get a lot passionate, or my warrior man comes out. You might want to understand what it's about. So you see, with my family, the one thing that really bothered me is that when that would happen, nobody ever wanted to know why. See, because it doesn't last. It's really short-lived. You know, if you don't let the steam out, the kettle will explode with enough pressure and enough heat. And that is dangerous. Letting the steam out makes a bit of annoying sound, but it's not causing harm. However, it might cause harm if it's recorded and it's used to discredit me. So I'm willing to make a fool of myself every time I get up here and make a video. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm trying to be right. But I'm willing to make a fool of myself and be wrong and get corrected. And that's a good way for learning. There's lots of ways to learn. That's one way. And when you're pushing an envelope and you're a leader, well, there's a lot of things that need to get figured out. There's a lot of things haven't been done before. There's a lot of things haven't been thought about before. And when you're the leader, you're the one who's responsible for all of that. And if you don't have support people figuring it out for you, you got to figure it out yourself. So anyways, I went off on this man. And then I got a cease and desist from him. An order, cease and desist. I said, perfect, beautiful, good. I don't have to deal with this anymore. This has been such an energy drain on me. And this is what happens with trolls, gatekeepers, saboteurs. They'll make friends with you. They'll even give you a little bit of money just so they can steer you in the wrong direction. Monopolize your time, consume your energy. And so I'm getting real real experience with this. I've had to deal with a lot of them. So I wanted to talk about it. I know I can tell when I'm upsetting somebody. And do I keep pushing to trigger them? Not generally. Generally, I say this this man or woman, they need a break. I'll talk to them later. Well, cooler heads prevail. So I've had a couple of passionate videos. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted at the lack of alpha males or my ability to contact with alpha males. Alpha males that got a brain. Need alpha males with a brain. Alpha male without a brain isn't going to help us at all. No, it's going to make us look really bad. We need alpha males with brains. My only concern, my objective is God's work, truth and freedom. This isn't about me. I take no credit for anything. All the glory goes to God. All right, enough about that. Well, I'm here. Lady Angel shared a little information with me today. Well, I'll share it with y'all. Let's see what I can do about making this readable for me. Print's so small, my eyes are tired. This is titled Communities of Safety in Times of Trouble. Now, this appears to be a historical account. This reads, in 1774, the various communities of safety called for the First Continental Congress. Delegates to that Congress went from town to county to provincial level communities before being selected to go to Philadelphia. In Western Massachusetts, committees of safety forced the resignation of judges appointed under the Massachusetts Government Act 1774. Interesting stuff, huh? All right, there's another share here. This one might be a little more difficult to read. This starts, it says, ignore, period. To be ignorant of, comma, or unacquainted with, period. To disregard willfully, semicolon. To refuse to organize, semicolon. To decline to take notice of. And then this is Selburne County versus Morton 69 ARK, 48, 60 SW 307. To reject as groundless, false, or unsupported by evidence, as when a grand jury ignores a bill of indictment. And this, wow, this looks like some kind of French or something. Ignos sectur el cu senguma sum qualiter redemption volut. The law holds him excused from obligation who choose to redeem his blood or life upon any terms. Whatever a man may do under the fear of losing his life or limbs will not be held binding upon him in law. How about that? Hey, China Bee. How you doing, girl? How was your Christmas? I hope it was good. Glad to see you here. All right. One other one here. This is that same kind of ignoranta juris juristi non prejudicate jury. It says ignorance of one's right does not prejudice the right. And then we have ignorantla legis neman ex excusat. It says ignorance of the law excuses no one. I believe this is an abbreviation for Bouvier, 4BOUV. Instant know three what story, sure what's that? All right, another one here. Ignoranta presumptor ubi scienta non probatur. Ignorance is presumed where knowledge is not proved. And then another one of those titles, I won't bother reading it because I can't say it, but it says to be ignorant of the law is gross neglect. All right. All of these sheriffs don't know the law. That's obvious. There's no excuse for that. They're infringing upon your rights and they're threatening you, your life, your limb, your freedom. I've been saying no force is excessive in defending your life, your liberty, and your freedom. These parasites, these road pirates, British foreign agents, all conspiring together, they have overtaken the judicial. They control our legislative, and they control the highest law enforcement, our sheriff. Sheriffs, you got your power from us. You do not have a power that we don't have. We have all power. You got obligation and duty. We're going to hold you accountable. The Constitutional Accountability Committee is going to have teeth. These First Amendment auditors now got more than a shield. They got weapons. So you're going to hide the grand juries from us. That's fine. We don't want an administrative grand jury. We do not. Our legislatures can play with their administrative grand juries in their clown world. In the real world, where the people are, we will form, we will assemble, and we will create a pool to choose from for jurors. When we're assembled and we have our grand juries and our grand jury foreman, we know what to do. And where does the warrant go? Goes to the sheriff. So by the time we get this done, we're going to know who's a good sheriff and who's a bad sheriff. A treasonous rat is a treasonous rat. Nuremberg violator's a Nuremberg violator. Justice is coming. By God. So now, people, there's so much frustration and anger and rage. Do not allow it to trigger you into doing something that you regret. Please. Stay strong. Stay in control. Now, I had when we were thinking, we had a patriot in Sheriff Dar. The guys told me to take down a couple of my videos. They said the media will use that against you because I show some passion. They said, man, we're right there with you. We're like, yeah, man. Yeah, right? But take them down because the media will use it to destroy you. Well, look, I'm an open book. Bring it on. Maybe I get a little bit passionate. Maybe I get a little bit angry. One thing I am is I am hard. Hard and strong with God. And Archangel Michael and his warriors. Warriors. That doesn't mean going around pacifying everybody's feelings and letting evil prevail. We are going to dig this up from the deepest cracks to the end of every root, every seed, and we are going to crush it into the finest powder and burn it in the hottest fires to make the most finest ash to dump at the feet of Jesus Christ so he can condemn it to hell where it belongs. And by God, we will begin to build a heaven on earth. So people, I love you. I'm praying for your souls. I need some support. The auditors will be able to use some support. I think in 6 months, I've seen maybe $1,200. I spend a lot of time hungry. I go days, weeks without a cigarette or coffee. I'm wearing rags. I got holes in my shoes, but that's all right. It's been said a camel will fit through the eye of a needle easier than a rich man will make it into heaven. I'm going to be one of the wealthiest men on the face of the earth when I get done with this. Holy cow. The Michigan unemployment has agreed to pay me $10,000 a day, retroactive to December 3rd of last year. Kalkaska County has agreed to pay me $10,000 a day, retroactive to December 2015. I beat the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I beat the DEA. By the time I get done going after all these others who have done what they have done, you see, It's easy. It's easy to show a $70 trillion loss in the life of the patent on the mouth rinse alone, let alone the other patents that I filed that I had to abandon. I waited until I was secure with a partner, but government got involved and they froze banking, international interference in economic interest, so that you will be sick, so you will be miserable, so you will be in pain, so you can't have a nourished endocannabinoid system, so you can't have healthy oral flora, so you don't have good, strong, healthy gums and clean teeth and no plaques that cause decay. By the time I get done with them, I will be by far the richest man on this earth. And then I got a real problem, don't I? How am I going to get into heaven? I guess I get to be a generous man, don't I? I get to become a very generous man. I'll be sure when I die penniless. You see, love, friends and family, happiness, and security, these are things that are important. Money helps. Money helps to create that environment. Hey, you can spend $5 on a coffee, or you can spend $5 and buy a whole can, have coffee for a week or two, depending on how much you drink. You get to decide. So, as far as Sheriff Dar goes, I haven't received a phone call. We'll have to give him some time to see if there's a response. I doubt he could find anyone for service over the Christmas holiday. And that was not my intention at all. My intention was to get it done as soon as possible. I got it done as soon as possible. So unless Sheriff Dar or Jason Sixberry has responded with a rebuke to keep the court case open and continuing, then the court case is closed and they agree charges can be brought against them. So we need the grand jury for that. And we'll get the grand jury because it's ours and we have all power. It comes from the people. We will have a superior court in every county because the superior court is the people's court. It is to be open and free to the people. And all this litigation, all this crap. Look, this attorney took this case for Charlotte 2 years. I don't know how many millions of dollars. Nowhere. What a joke. I beat the DEA for under $100. Where's justice? It's waiting for a grand jury. I put a constitutional class action on the DEA if they failed to give remedy. And I offered a very simple remedy. So any man that's in prison, in jail, incarcerated, we have a constitutional class action lawsuit to collect on $100,000 a day. $10 a day for every free man male or female, who's denied optimal oral health. Now, ignorance of the law is no excuse. There's an awful lot of ignorance out there. So these parasites, these globalists, they want a world depopulation. Guess what? It's coming. It's just not the way you thought it was going to be. By God, it will be how it should be. I love you all. We'll be back soon. Peace out.